Yo, what's good, Celtics fans? Boston's about to play the Detroit Pistons on Monday, January 19th. We're recording this a few days early just to make sure it's up and ready for the morning before the game. I'm joined by Ku of Locked On Pistons to kind of preview what the Pistons are going to be bringing into this game. Had Boston's number on the glass for the first three games of the season. It's been rough. Ku, man, thanks for joining me. What's good?
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Feeling good. Hopefully it's a good game between Boston and Detroit. Those two teams seems like Boston's going to end up surpassing New York in the standings. So looking forward to having a good game between the two teams.
Yeah, they're kind of battling it out right now. I think New York's slide all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on with them too tough. It just seems to be falling apart. I'm not moaning. It's working well for the Celtics. Obviously that works out as well because it means that the Boston and Detroit don't really have to face each other too early in the postseason if this continues the way it's going. How are you feeling about Detroit's ability to continue to stick with that first seed all the way to the end of the year?
Yeah, I think Detroit should feel like they can keep it the whole year. I think the expectation is for them to finish as the first seed. They've gotten to a point where they've, over the last like 15 or so games, they haven't been as sharp as they were the first 20 games of the year. But they're still top 10 in net rating, top 10 in offensive rating, top 10 in defensive rating. So we're talking about a minimal slide. And even when they haven't been at their best, like even this past game they just played, why am I drawing a blank of who they just played? But either way, this past game they just played after a 5-day of Phoenix without Devin Booker. They didn't play very well, but they still find a way to win at the end. They have a really deep team. They're finding different ways to win. I haven't seen anything to suggest that they are going to have some massive slide. So unless Boston goes absolutely, because I don't think New York's going to catch them. Unless Boston goes like on a 15-game win streak or something, the Pistons like the fall. I think the Pistons feel like they should finish as the first seed.
This bit of a slide you're talking about, I pulled the numbers up before we did the episode. Just over the last 2 weeks, Cleaning the Glass has that cool feature where it gives you the offensive and defensive rating for 14 days. You guys are still first in defensive rating, even when you're going through this slide, right? You're 23rd in offense. Clearly, you kind of just making it so difficult for teams to score that you can grind out wins when you need to. That's definitely been a calling card all year. You're second in the league in defensive rating for the season, 10th in offensive rating. I've seen a lot of people out there read a lot of people write about how this still might not be Detroit's year just because you guys are so young. It's a learning curve. A deep playoff run is great experience for everybody as you keep building towards that eventual championship. But the way I look at things is a top 10 defense and offense is always a telltale sign of a team that's ready to make a deep run and potentially surprise somebody anyway. It's a good balance on both ends of the floor. We saw Oklahoma as a young team achieve great success, and obviously that's an outlier because of just the way they're playing right now, the depth they have. But are you confident of a deep playoff run, even maybe coming out of the East this year, or what's the ceiling you're putting on this team? We're about halfway in the season now, so I'm sure you've got a good feel.
I think it depends on what the team decides to do at the trade deadline. I think a lot of what you said, I think the front office is also feeling this level of confusion about what exactly they want to do here. For a long time, Trajan Langdon, their president of basketball operations, his goal for the last 2 years, last year he didn't expect them to be good. He said at the trade deadline, I didn't expect us to be this good. And coming to this year, I can guarantee he didn't expect them to be this good. So both years, it like kind of caught him by surprise. And if it had it his way, he would just stand pat and they just wouldn't do anything, and he would just let the young guys ride it out. But when you're this good and you have this big of an opportunity in front of you in what everyone's calling an open East, it causes a lot of confusion in the front office about whether, okay, maybe should we shift our strategy here and kind of try to take advantage of what's in front of us. If they were to not make any moves, I think they have a limited ceiling. I think they could get to the conference finals, but I think their issues are things that are able to be, I think, taken advantage of in the playoffs. They are running into this issue, I think, and it's a good problem to have. I think Trajan really looks at this as a really good thing to deal with. Obviously, it's not a bad thing, but they're running into this problem where Cade is ready to be like this. He's ready to compete right now for like championships. He's ready. He's good enough player, be the best player on a team that can make the finals. But is Jalen Duren better? He's taking are good enough. He's taking a big step. He's probably gonna be an all-star this year. But is he ready? Is he at the point of his career where he's ready to be like championship contending guy? They were expecting a big leap from Asar Thompson, and Asar first part of the year was playing really well. He's going through one of his worst offensive struggles of his entire career the last like 2 weeks. Is he ready to be a part of a team that's trying to compete for championships? So they have other guys a part of their roster that they view as key building blocks that they're building around, that they're not as sure are they ready to be a part of a team that wants to get deep into the playoffs like Cade is. If they were ready, I think they would make a move and they would try to get to the finals. But I feel like the front office is thinking that if we push all in right now, our key guys aren't ready and it'll end up biting us anyways. We need to wait until everyone is ready for this, and then we'll go on at that point. So I think the shooting and some of the offensive concerns will bite them in the playoffs if they don't address some of them. But I don't think that should stop them from being able to beat some of the middling teams in the East. I think they might run into a problem in the Eastern Conference Finals if they were to play the Knicks or the Celtics in that regard.
What are you looking at in terms of improving this? So say it's the trade deadline now, and as you mentioned, you're not too confident in trying to push all your chips in right now because there's still guys that are developing. Is this where you look for that veteran presence at the end of the bench to try and like spit some game to some of the younger guys, help them learn on the fly and learn good habits in their locker room, in the training facility? Or is it that you're looking for somebody that can step in and be that third or fourth option, but can scale up to a second option when somebody doesn't have it on any given night?
Yeah, I think they have really good locker room leadership. They have a bunch of those guys already. They have it in Tobias Harris, who they absolutely love. They have it in Paul Reed, Javonte Green. I don't think they need anything like that. They just need a guy that can shoot the basketball. I think if they could get I've been big on trading for this guy, but if they could get MPJ, that would be the absolute perfect fit for what this team needs. They play a lot of. If you watch the Pistons play, their identity is obviously defense, but their identity is never going to be we're going to shoot 43s. Like Boston is very analytically driven, and I love Joe Mazzulla. I think he's the best quarterback. I'm getting ready for playoff football. I think he's the best coach in basketball today. But the Pistons are not relying on three-point shooting. They are playing the possession battle. They are playing defense, and they believe that we're going to get to the basket. We're going to outscore you by 30 points in the paint. And if we miss a shot at the rim, we're probably going to get the offensive rebound. We'll finish anyways. Like that's what they believe their identity is. And I think that works. I mean, it has worked all year. But the way to really unlock that is when teams start to play for that, you have some guys that are outside that are able to make them pay for doing so. And they have that in Duncan Robinson. When you have Cade, who can get to the rim, when you have Duren, who's improved as a shot creator and a driver to the rim, when he's doing that, when you want Asar being aggressive and he's getting to the basket, you need the two guys next to them to be snipers. Duncan's one. Tobias isn't really that. Tobias doesn't want to get up a volume of threes. I think last game he only took 2 threes. He doesn't want to shoot like that. If you get an MPJ out there who is providing that type of gravity with Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup, it then makes it incredibly hard to guard Cade, Asar, and Duren on the offensive end of the floor in the half court without giving up a 3 to one of these guys or giving people a wide open, a much more clear drive to the rim. So I think just having a volume 3-point shooter really fixes a lot of their offensive issues, especially in the half court.
That was exactly how the Pistons rebuilt from that losing season anyway, right? Where they basically started to add more shooting around Cade to open the floor up for him, and look at the development that's allowed. So finding somebody else makes perfect sense, either in the starting lineup or off the bench. But given the amount of talent you have, would you be okay with parting with some of these guys to bring in MPJ? He's not going to. He'd be reasonably priced, but you'd definitely be losing some guys along the way.
I think the Pistons, from what I understand, their position is they're obviously not moving Cade, not moving Duren, and they're not moving Asar. That's my understanding, is that Asar is untouchable, Jalen Duren's untouchable, Isaiah Stewart, they're not moving Isaiah Stewart, and Brian Holland also is basically untouchable. Those are the guys that understand that they're not parting ways with. I think they would move. I think the package that has been rumored is true, that they would be willing to move potentially like a Tobias, Jaden Ivey and a first, or Tobias, Karras and multiple firsts, or Ivy is the player that they are willing to move off from. But any deal that includes like having to give up a SAR or a JD, they're not doing that. So I guess we'll have to see what that type of package would be able to get them. We'll have to see what exactly the Nets are going to get for MPJ. It sounds like that there's going to be quite a few teams interested in him. But even it doesn't even have to just be MPJ, just any kind of wing shooter that you can play in that lineup, I think just really helps them. I think MPJ is the best situation of them all, or best player of them all, best fit, I should say. But that's just the type of player they need. And the guys that I think they would be willing to move off of, like Tobias, Ivy, and maybe a pick or two, depending on the player.
It's super interesting, right? Because you guys are such a highly ranked offense in the league, but you're not really elite at any one shot type. Like you said, with the Celtics, you know that they're going to get up a high number of threes and allowing for shot variance, they're generally going to win the possession battle from the perimeter. I pulled up the numbers before we jumped on. 66.3% at the rim this year, puts you 19th in the NBA at the rim. 43.4%, 19th in the NBA mid-range, and then 35.1% puts you 20th in the league for perimeter shots. And you mentioned it earlier, you hit the nail on the head. This is a team that's generating offense through the possession battle, through secondary opportunities at the rim, through being able to keep possessions alive and being smart with the possessions that you do have. Adding another play finisher, shot maker, however you want to label them, would be great. The good thing about MPJ is he's not just going to be a catch and shoot guy, right? He can put the ball on the floor, he can attack closeouts, he can create different opportunities across all three levels. When you look at the Celtics, that's kind of what their biggest strength is right now. Even without Tatum, you've got Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. All three guys can score across all three levels and create for themselves and for everyone else. And then you've got Anthony Simons that's really popping right now. Whereas when you're looking at the Celtics and you've seen the last three meetings from these teams, obviously offensive rebound has been your biggest advantage. You guys have 52 offensive boards against Boston in 3 games, which is insane. Where else would you be looking for Detroit to try and take advantage on Monday? Because we're recording this a few days before. Obviously, we just want to make sure, like for Celtics fans watching as well, what areas of the floor should they be looking out for when Detroit are trying to get that exploitation going?
I think the last matchup between the Celtics and the Pistons, I don't think Jalen Duren did a very good job. One of the games, he was not very impactful inside. He was allowed to, the Celtics were allowed to get away with playing guards on him, and playing smaller bodies on him, and he wasn't able to make them pay. Boston has done a really good job. I talked about this on the podcast last time they played in Boston. They had kind of like put the blueprint for how to guard Jalen Duren's drives. Like they're putting smaller bodies, and as soon as he puts the ball on the floor, they're just sending multiple bodies at him, swiping down at the ball, and he was really struggling against Boston. So I think he needs to learn and be able to attack that better and make better reads off the dribble, whether it be as a passer, just as a scorer. I think that's something that Boston did a really good job of. One of the things I'll be watching for, from the Pistons angle, is for the majority of the year, I think Asar Thompson is the best perimeter defender in the NBA. I think he's otherworldly. I think he's going to be one of these defenders we talk about for years. They've decided to put him on Peyton Pritchard and just say, we're going to take Peyton Pritchard out the game. If Jaylen Brown kills us, he kills us. And he's basically killed every single matchup. I think he's averaging crazy numbers. He's been killing Tobias. In any other matchup they put on Jaylen Brown. So I think the Pistons should heavily consider switching that. And instead of just saying, Asar will take Peyton Pritchard out, we'll just play Brown straight up and see if he actually beats us. I think they should seriously consider switching Asar on the Jaylen Brown and trying that matchup out, because we now have 3 games of Jaylen Brown just going crazy. I don't know if you want to go a 4th time of him just creating offense nonstop for the Celtics. I think I feel like you're kind of wasting your best perimeter defender, especially when he's as great as Asar is. If Boston, because Joe Mazzulla, like I said, is just incredibly smart. I think he's the best coach in basketball. Every time the Pistons have played the Celtics, he's accepted that they put Asar on Pritchard, and they just put Pritchard in the weak side corner and just keep him away from every action. They don't call him up for screens. They don't call him up in any action. He just stays in the corner. He stays away from everything, and they just attack everyone else on the floor. I think that's a mistake from Detroit's end. I think that's something they should change in this upcoming match.
Okay, so when the Celtics usually do that, if they put someone in the weak side corner, what they'll want to do is they'll want to kind of either force the switches or have them rotate over as a roamer to offer like weak side help. They'll rotate off, they'll leave the weak side and offer that rim protection, or they'll shoot up and throw a double and expect someone to kind of peel switch onto the corner. Is that a change that have you seen Detroit do that at times where they'll have somebody being guarded by Thompson, and then they'll get someone off, copy that blueprint and kind of put them in the corner and take them out the action. So you guys just kind of send 2 and then peel switch someone else onto the corner. So then at least you've got Thompson back at the top of the perimeter.
They haven't done that much. I think they feel better about doing that when they play him. I've seen them be more creative with stuff like that when they play Asar with another defender. Like when they play him and Ron Holland together, they feel much better about having Asar run as a roamer and make those kind of plays. I have not seen them do that much against the Celtics recently. In all the three of the matchups, they just feel like it seems like they're just willing to let they don't. It seems like they didn't believe Jaylen Brown could actually kill them. And it was just like if he goes off, he goes off. We'll just let him do it, and he actually has. So I think they should change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming into this game. I didn't check the NBA ladder on Friday, but up until Friday this week, he was third in the league in MVP voting, or MVP race, I should say. So it's not like it's an anomaly when he goes off against you. He's going off against everybody this year. So it does make sense that you put the best perimeter defender possible on him, and then you just try and send help where necessary. What I do like about the way you guys defend overall is just the way you kind of dare teams into taking threes, right? So I've got the number again. When I haven't got to see a team as much as I'd like in the season, I definitely try and pull the numbers and then contextualize from the clips I have got and from the games that I have seen of them. So when I pulled up the numbers here, you guys are allowing 39% of opponents' shots to come in at the perimeter, but you're literally guarding them down at an elite clip. You're fifth in the NBA for free opponent field goal percentage from the perimeter, but you're allowing teams to shoot so much that it feels like you're just trapping them and daring them to get it off, and then you're able to close that space quickly without fouling and impact that release. That feels to me like an area where the Celtics are going to fall into that trap every single time, because if you let them shoot, they're going to, until you give them a reason to adjust. So whether Thompson is on Brown or not, I do think that it's very easy to kind of bait the Celtics into taking out their mid-range game and living on that 3-point line. And I feel like we saw that early in the season against you guys. But has that just been a plan against everybody all year long? You're just kind of playing into the analytics in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's been very accurate. They've relied heavily on their interior defense, and basically said, we don't want to allow you to score in the paint. We got Stu down there. We got Asar as a roamer. We got Jalen Duren's improved as a rim protector. They have taken the identity of, you are not scoring. Well, first off, they're going to make plays defensively. Toronto's going to play good defense. They're one of the rare teams like them, OKC. They don't just play defense. They are playmakers on defense. They are causing havoc. They're causing loose balls. They're causing plays like that. So they're going to do that, and they're not letting you score at the rim. You're just not going to score in the paint. You're going to have to score a different type of way. So that's been something they've been, obviously the numbers back it up. They've been doing that all year. I actually think that Boston's able to kill stuff like that. I feel like they're one of the teams that will gladly do so and just kind of shoot you out the basketball game, especially against a team like Detroit that is, I think, like 27 in 3-point rate. They just will Boston is capable of outscoring the Pistons by like 40 from the 3-point line. Maybe. I think even in this past game, I think Derek White hit like 5 threes in the first half or so. He was going crazy. So I think that's like my biggest concern going against Boston, is that the way the Pistons play, they do give up a lot of threes, and Boston's one of those teams I really don't like doing that to, because they will get up 60, 50 threes. And any given night, they may just hit 45% of them. You look at the box score at the end of the night, they've hit 25 threes, and you're just like, oh, we have no chance.
It happens, man. It's that shot variant. Celtics fans will really be frustrated on nights where they shoot like 28% from deep as a team. But then the next game, they'll go like 52% or 48%. It'll be somewhat ridiculous. And you have to live with the swings, because you're winning the possession battle over the course of an 82-game season just because of the shooting talent you've got around you. The one aspect I'd kind of look at if I was Boston, just trying to attack the Pistons defense, is just trying to get into the mid-range, because you guys are going to expect the 3-point shot. You're taking away the rim. And then you've got Jaylen Brown, who I'd argue is now top 2, if not the best mid-range shooter off the dribble in the league. Peyton Pritchard's really improved there. White can get to his right hand and let that floater go. And that, to me, then forces someone like Bishu to step up away from the rim into that kind of like long mid-range area, so you can run action off the backside on the baseline and try and get guys in that way, just to pressure the defense in that middle and kind of compact in everything you're doing. Then the kickouts come and whatever it may be. I don't know if teams have tried that with you guys. I think Bishu is one of my favorite defensive guys in the NBA. I think he's got the best nickname in the NBA too. So it's obviously a lot easier to kind of conceptualize ways to manipulate his defense than it is to actually implement them. But have you seen teams try and do that, where they just get to the mid-range more to drag him away from the restricted area?
I don't think there's many teams in the NBA that are as equipped as let's say Jaylen Brown, to actually make you pay from doing so. I can't remember of many teams. When I think about it, the only guy I can think of that has killed them in that area, well, Kawhi. Kawhi did. Kawhi absolutely destroyed them. I think he dropped 55. But I feel like a lot of that was, I mean, Kawhi's an excellent mid-range guy, so if you give him let him get to his spots, you've already lost. And I guess that's kind of the same thing with Jaylen Brown this year. He's been incredible in the mid-range. So those two guys are the only ones I can remember that have tried to make the Pistons pay in that regard. A lot of teams, it hasn't jumped out to me. But Stu, he's one of the best switch defenders in the NBA, though he hasn't been switching a lot this year. They've been having him stay around the paint. When he's had to switch, he's still one of the best in the league, but they have not asked him to switch that much this year. Actually, has been a difference for them. So you can clearly see they are going with the idea of you're just not going to score in the paint. If you want to take middies, go ahead. But there hasn't been many teams outside, like I said, Jaylen Brown and Kawhi, that I feel like have truly made them pay for it.
You see, I'd expect more teams to be going for push shots and just kind of like one hand floaters off the bounce, just to try and drag someone up, right? But I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I saw Kevin O'Connor post out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, some numbers from Beast just like how elite he's been in isolation as well. Just you can put him on an island and feel very comfortable. And when you've got that defensive spine, you've got Thompson, you've got Beef Stew, and then you can plug and play switchable multi-positional defenders around them. It makes it really tough, right? Ime Udoka wanted that type of vision for the Celtics a few years back, and his mentality was always, you're going to have nights where you don't score. You're not going to have nights where you don't bring defensive effort. And that to me tells me that, like, hey, it doesn't matter what happens between Boston and Detroit like at the time of recording tonight, and it doesn't matter what's happened for the rest of the season. Once the playoffs get here, if you can't consistently break down a Detroit defense, it's going to be a really difficult 7-game series for you. And vice versa, if you can't break down Boston's defense, or the lights get too big because everybody's still young and still developing, or you don't add the extra shot maker, and then you've kind of got this, we need to win on the boards in order to give ourselves a fighting chance. It could go either way. I just think this is two teams now that are still young enough that in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be a real pain for each other.
No, I think the Pistons are going to be here for a while. Boston, I'm interested to see if Jason Tatum comes back this year. If that happens, that's going to be crazy. But Boston, as long as they have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Joe Mazzulla, they're going to be, honestly, I feel like even like as long as you guys have Joe Mazzulla, even after they retire, you guys should be like, I'm constantly so impressed by Mazzulla. So I feel like as long as he's there and you got Brad Stevens as well, like that's some of the best like front office coach I've seen in basketball for a while. It reminds me of like Pop with the Spurs. So as long as you guys have that, I think you guys will be around for a very long time. But the Pistons, Cade, a very young team around them. That's part of the reason why Trajan feels like maybe he doesn't have to make a move this year. That this year's not the year. They have like a 5-year runway in front of them. That's why he feels like he's maybe doesn't need to make a move this year. But Detroit sports fans are a little spooked over that after what's happened the last year and a half. You got the Tigers, who were fantastic at the deadline, said they didn't need to do anything, and then they had one of the most epic collapses of all time in MLB history down the stretch, and now they don't know what they're going to do. The Lions, all of a sudden, a few years ago, made the conference championship game. They say, oh, this might have been our only shot. We believe in young guys, though. They'll develop. And now each year they went back and back and back. They went from divisional round, wild card round, and now out the playoffs. And it's like, oh, maybe you should have taken advantage of your chance when you had it. So there's a lot of sports fans now in Detroit that are like, the whole idea of you'll always be back, you'll always be here is just not true. You need to take advantage when you do have the chance. So we'll see what they decide to do.
I mean, it's a fair argument either way, though, right? Because some of these guys, the way they're playing this season might be one of their best seasons. You never know when a player is having his best season until he's had his best season. And that means their trade value is higher this year. And you might be able to swing a deal that you might not be able to next year if you don't come out the gates hot. On the flip side, you don't want to mess up the chemistry that you've got that's got you to the position where you are, right? And the fan sentiment was actually going to be the next part that I asked about, just overall in terms of, is everybody calling for somebody to be brought in and kind of add to what you've already got? Or is everybody kind of happy? I say everybody, like the majority, more happy to wait till the summer, see how this season plays out, take stock, and then figure out where you need to develop?
The fan base is overwhelmingly, let me say this first in case any of them listen, overwhelmingly happy. Okay. Everyone's overwhelmingly excited and happy with the team. with that said, it is a bit of a civil war going on in the community because there's a lot of people who are of the belief, let this thing ride out, don't do anything, don't mess with the chemistry. This is not the only year they'll have. Let them just play it out. Whatever they do this year, that's icing on the cake. They weren't supposed to be this good anyways. They'll be back next year. And then there's another 50% of the fan base that's like, go make a move. The East is wide open. Cade is ready. If you get somebody, this team could legitimately make the NBA Finals. You don't throw those opportunities away. So there's been a lot of fighting going on of go make a move. You can't just let this year ride out like this, and be careful. Let's just, if it doesn't happen this year, who cares? They'll be back next year. There's been a lot of fighting. I don't know which way. I've said on the podcast, not going above the community. I've heard over the last 2 weeks, this is the most confused the front office has been. I was told last week that for the majority of the year, Trajan in the front office was, look, this is whatever happens this year, great. We're probably not going to make any moves. We just want to see how these young guys continue to take the step forward. And then over the last 2 weeks, with them being as good as they are still and winning some of the games, especially after they blew out New York, I heard was a big thing. After they dominated New York, this has been the most uncertain the front office has been as, okay, maybe we do need to consider actually making a move. This team might actually be ready. Like, we might actually need to do something. Whether they do something or not, I think that kind of speaks to the overall uncertainty, not just in the community, but like in the state, in the city in general. Like, everyone's just, it's very uncertain on what they think should happen with this team.
I'd be torn personally as well. I mean, we went through it as Celtics fans a few years back, obviously. There was a couple of times they made the Eastern Conference Finals, a couple of times they fell short. Felt like they were one step forward, one step back. Trades had happened, some would work, and then they'd flip them. And it was mainly during the Danny Ainge, well, it was predominantly during the Danny Ainge era. And that same civil war was happening across Celtics fan base at the time. Some people wanted to split Jason and Jalen up. Some people wanted to keep. That's still going on now to this day. But it is one of those, there is no right answer, right? You kind of have to trust the guys in the front office roles, trust the data and analytics they have available to them that isn't really available publicly, and hope that they can make data-led and like basketball-led decisions. With that, where do you stand? If you were running that front office today, are you making that trade? Are you throwing the assets to bring MPJ, or are you holding out until the summer?
Yeah, I'd make a move. I think when I have now become, probably because of what's happened in recent Detroit sports, and honestly, not even just recent Detroit sports, I feel like if you look across the NBA, the guarantee of we'll be back is not always a guarantee. Like, you never know if you will be back. Injuries could happen. Something, knock on wood, obviously, no one wants injuries, but like anything could happen. And you never know if you'll actually be back next year. You don't know if guys will continue to be this good. You don't know if guys will develop. And for a team like Detroit, who has been, let's just be honest, horrible for 16, 17 years since Chauncey left and the going to work team was gone, when you have this kind of opportunity in front of you, I understand you don't want to mess up the long haul, but I think there's often, when you talk about this kind of thing, too much talk of like the extremes. Like, I don't think that they should trade 5 first-round picks, 2 swaps, and all of their young guys to go get somebody. But can you trade Ivy, Tobias, and a first to go get somebody? Can you get MPJ without giving up Asar, Cade, Duren, Stu, and Holland? I think possibly. Can you go improve the team without giving up one of those guys? Because to me, and this is also from what I've heard, but also from what I feel, the core of this team is Cade, Duren, and Asar. That is the rock of this team. If you can get somebody without giving up one of those guys, and the other, like, I guess, close to untouchables when it comes to Ron and Stu, if you can add somebody that can shoot to them, you should always do it. Like, you should always be trying to upgrade the margins. And especially with this team, you got Trey Murphy who's available. I think he would be even more expensive, but maybe you do it. JJJ, if he becomes available, that's a guy I'd give up assets for. Any kind of 4-position guy, they needed that last year. They need it this year. It's very clear. Trajan said all offseason, I'll make a move when I understand what our young guys need to take the next step. You need to figure out what is that data. What is it that you actually need to elevate them? It's very clear. I think everybody is everyone in the city is understood and in the same on the same page when it comes to these guys need a volume 3-point shooting floor. They need a 4-man who is going to get threes up to space the floor for them. Everyone's in agreement on this. I feel like the data's in. I would go make the move. I would not make cap killing moves. I'm not saying go out and just trade everything, But if you can get MPJ, if you can get one of these 4 men that are out there for Ivy, I think Ivy's movable. I think there's some feeling on both sides to maybe move on at this point. So Ivy, Tobias, that's why I do. I'm not trading any of the key guys. So if that can't happen, I mean, I guess what it is. But I think you should be shopping that around for sure.
This is more of a sarcastic joke, but with a little bit of genuine question in there right now. Would you go for Kristaps Porzingis on a short-term rental?
See, look, if this dude could be healthy at all, man. I remember when he was a free agent, or when he was traded. He was a free agent that year, right? He got traded, you guys, or was he had 1 year left, or what? It was
I
like
think he had 1 year. He
it?
was on an expiring, and then they like extended him.
Yeah, that year when that happened, he was my primary target for the Pistons. He is like exactly what he fits when he's on the floor. He is quite literally the exact thing they need, and he also fits with Durant defensively too. And so, like, he would be perfect. He is. What's his contract this year? Is he expiring?
Yeah, he's expiring again this year, and it doesn't look like the Hawks are going to be picking that up. I think they're actively trying to shop him. Right, I'm just putting up his overall contract right now.
See, so the thing is that could be. Yeah, I could see the argument for being like, look, if you're going to make a move, we'll trade for Kristaps. We don't have to give up anything really for him because he's been injured. I don't think his value would be much right now as expiring. They might use it as like a third-team deal to try to ship his salary somewhere. I mean, that might happen. I don't think you'd have to give up much for him. If you could get Kristaps for very minimal, and it's like, okay, look, if he plays, there's our ceiling, and we get to see what it looks like. If he doesn't, we didn't really give up anything for him. He's expiring. It's not like it hurt us in the long run anyways. That actually, I think, could be a very high reward, low risk move. So honestly, I might talk about that on the podcast. That was a good name throw out.
He's earning $30.7 million this year, so it's a sizable contract. I'm literally just running through a fake trade basically, which I try not to do too many of ever, but it just seems like it's a really good time to kind of have a look at it. So Porzingis to Detroit, and then you'd say Tobias Harris would be someone you're comfortable with throwing in there. And then you said you wouldn't throw in Ron, and you wouldn't throw in Stu. Would you throw in Paul Reed? Would you feel comfortable about throwing in Paul Reed?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's you're basically just matching salaries at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. And then obviously, so that works. Then Tobias Harris, Paul Reed. Obviously, you probably need to throw in a sec. I don't even think you'd need to throw in a second, to be honest with you. And then Kristaps, and then you can obviously have Kristaps for the playoff run if he stays healthy. He's been dealing symptoms that nobody could figure out what it was. They've now put a name to it, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. It's some long name. But he's definitely got this issue, this breathing issue that kind of affects him. But if he's healthy-ish for the postseason, he can give you 18 minutes a night. I think like that could be a huge threat for you. And look, if he could stay healthy, then the Celtics probably wouldn't have moved on from him this summer anyway. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's somebody that the deeper Detroit goes in the playoffs this year, the better it is for the overall development of everybody on the roster, right? Yep. And if you can get to an NBA Finals this year, win or lose, that only just when the Celtics finally got over that hump and they went to the finals in 2022 and they lost to the Warriors, they've been a different team ever since then. There was a different level of hunger that came with that. I think that it's especially Cunningham, that could take his game to another level again. So if you make that move and it works, great. If you make it and it fails, you've got a little bit of cap relief in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly, I'm gonna talk about that because I think that actually is a really good. It makes sense if you can't get any of the other guys and you're just like, you know what? If this works out this year, we could really be great. If it doesn't, we're not hurt at all. Like like you meant, it's an expiring contract. You get more salary in the off season. It's not like you gave up anything. Like it's pretty interesting.
And you open an extra roster spot that you can kind of go and look at the buyout market with. You can look at the free agency market because there's going to be buyouts. If the trade market's active, the buyout market is usually active too. So there could be somebody that shakes free there that you can go and round out with. With that being said, I know I told you before we started recording would be 30 minutes. So I just want to round this out by just what's your prediction for Monday's game? Do you think are Boston going to take it or is Detroit going to take it?
Is it in Detroit or Boston?
See, this was interesting to me because I actually pulled the numbers. Detroit have actually struggled playing in the TD Garden. You've won one of the last 4, but it was the last game you played. You lost the other 3 in the TD Garden. I actually haven't looked at the full schedule of where they're playing. I think it's going to be in Detroit, but I'm just pulling it up now.
If it's in Detroit, I'll take the Pistons.
Yeah, I'd probably lean that way. Yeah, it's in Detroit.
Yeah, I'll take Detroit. I think they'll play well at home. They have struggled at Boston, but if everyone's seen, actually, you know what? One thing to watch for from Boston side, I will lean Detroit. Cade is not healthy right now. He's wearing like this crazy. He debuted this crazy wrist band thing that goes from like his middle of his hand, all the way down to like midway through his arm, and it has like crazy padding around his wrist. He injured it. He played his first game back. He had it on this past game. He was 4 of 9 from the free throw line. He turned the ball over 6 times. He was just losing control of the ball. 3 of 16 from the floor. Like he very clearly, it's on a shooting. By the way, I guess I should have mentioned that. It's on a shooting hand. He very clearly does not look comfortable. I don't. If I was the Pistons, I would just sit him and let him get healthy. But watch for that, because if he continues to not just, I mean, if he can't shoot, if he can't flick his wrist, then it's like, you know, it can be tough. So if that's still happening, I think Boston might win. But let's hope, you know, Pistons' sake, that he's feeling better.
That is an important caveat to mention. I did look at the injury report because you guys played the Pacers on Saturday. So I looked at the injury report there. There wasn't anything that stuck out to me. But again, this is one of those things where I'm not watching the Pistons as much as I'd like to. Those are the little caveats that you miss unless you speak, which is kind of the point of doing the preview podcasts. I'm going to go with the Celtics to win just because it's a Celtics podcast and I've always got faith in them figuring out how to win. With that being said, though, I do want to say thank you for jumping on. Anybody, if you're looking for some post-game coverage after you've watched my post-game coverage, make sure you go over to Ku. Check out Locked On Pistons, show him some love. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving me some time.
Absolutely, man.